So I want to tap into the universal law and Hermetic principles. I want to talk about all these different patterns brought through the Hermetic principles. And so when we look at first one, the mind, the patterns of the mind, and how they originate through experiences when we're trying to survive in a very hyper vigilant world. For example, the idea of being light workers or a light warrior, this all stems from ancient times when humans were following a path of the sun to work during the day and then to hunt at night. And so this created a very belief that we are humans of light, even though this concept doesn't apply the same way to creatures in the environments, like the depths of the ocean or nocturnal animals. The word pattern comes from a Latin word patronus, meaning something that is protecting. So if you put the mind, right? Patterns are developed as a way to protect ourselves and ensure that we are in a place of survival. So the form an interconnected matrix or a network that allows us to relate to and to communicate with each other is fundamental. And without these shared patterns, we wouldn't be able to understand each other. So now we understand tribal archetypes. Come into an archetypal tribal ecosystem. And when problems arise, we see them through different patterns. And so it's not the pattern themselves that are really bad, but it's the lack of awareness of how we create them and manage them and sometimes need to deconstruct them. So all these patterns together are mental frameworks and beliefs. Now, the Latin root essence of structure is when we put all these different essences together. Ultimately, everything we perceive in our reality is an interpretation filtered through the lens of our pattern-structured mind. And so to evolve, we must examine all these patterns with awareness, keeping those that serve us while also being aware and letting go and unconditioning those that don't. Key point. So the key to consciousness then is the use of power through the mind. So one of the foundational Hermetic principles also is the law of correspondence. Now, this is going to be your as above, so below. You've probably heard it before. So basically it means that we're mirroring between what happens at one level of reality and on another level of reality, it's happening in another reality. So our outer world is a reflection of our inner world. And the word correspondence is going to come from the Latin word responder, which is to answer or respond. So our external reality is constantly responding to and reflecting our internal state of being and or a perception of internal state of being. So what we're resonating with vibrationally, we can see that all around us. So for example, if someone upsets you, it's really an internal upset that is being triggered or projected outward. And that external event is a mirror inviting me to look at what is it in me that needs observation or needs healing, to not take that personal because it's about me. It's different than directing your thoughts and blaming or playing the victim game because you are always a reflection of your state of what is around you that is causing us, what is causing me to resonate and attract that experience. That is the vibrational match. So by understanding the law of correspondence, we can gain the valuable insight and take full responsibility of how we show up in our lives. And so we're no longer blaming our outer circumstance. We're moving away from that world and we're really reflecting, what do I want to be or respond what I would want to see in the world? And that can take time. It takes empowerment from the inside out where we have lost so much of our power. So another core Hermetic principle is vibration, which is everything in the universe is light and vibration. So from the very, very, very smallest subatomic particles to the larger cosmic body, everything is vibrating. Everybody has a frequency. So our thoughts or emotions, all the cellular aspects are broadcasting these energetic vibrations into the world. And so the law of vibration is very closely linked to that of the law of correspondence. So when we look at the vibrational frequency that we're resonating at inward and how we're experiencing it outward, law attracts like. So this is why we are in a low vibration of fear, or if we're in lack or a victim, we attract more of those experiences. Conversely, when we raise our vibration and we choose love and we choose abundance and we start to experience more of those experiences or put ourselves in those experiences, that vibration is then becoming the attraction point. You've heard this before. So it allows the energy to not only transfer, but to be transmuted. And when we interact with someone or something, there is a vibrational, a currency exchange. So we're constantly absorbing, transmitting, and vibrating at all different levels. And those thoughts and emotions are particularly the vibrations that create your energetic state. So the key here is learning to master the vibrational state so that we can really consciously choose what we want to do with what we want to resonate with. Actually, there's nothing to do. It's just all about resonating. So breath work, meditation, attuning ourselves to higher vibrations through music. Those are all really great ways to do so. All right, rhythm. Let's talk about rhythm. All rhythm of the universe is cyclical. So if we take this principle and we look at oscillation and we look at the law of a vibration through a pendulum, we learn that we see in the cycles of the day. We see the night, we see the day, we see the seasons, we see the tides, we see life, we see death. These are all rhythms. Bum, 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 bum. It's the rhythmos of the universe and your soul that vibrates with the universe. So this reoccurrence of energy, this universal heartbeat that is found in all of the natural processes, it's the very music of your soul. It is the rhythm that shapes the flow of sound. It is what makes a melody of harmony dance through all of time. And so without rhythm, music would have no coherent form. So we live in a world where there's always chaos and it's always bringing chaos into order. So with that, it can be a tempo, it can be an intensity of a tempo, it can be a smooth ride. These are all laws of correspondence that are happening within a rhythm and how it's reflected in our outer experience. War, not so great. That rhythm's not good. And every civilization goes through at least 4,000 years through total destruction. That's a rhythm. So this is an invitation to really look at and how we can look at the rhythm of our inner rhythm and how we are a direct force of good to reflect in mastering the world around us and its rhythm. Now, we may not have full control of the weather, but we certainly do have control of how we coincide with the weather and how the seasons flow and how we can go internally in the winter versus hustling and really honoring the rhythm of our life. And so when we learn the ways, instead of fighting against them or trying to swim up the current or getting lost in the eddy current, we start to cultivate the ability to find our own center, to find our own rhythm and flow with nature within and nature without. When we anchor in our core essence with the rhythm of the universe, we literally can start to navigate all the different portals of frequency and start to see the different rhythms that have different areas of different parallel realities in the earth. And so there you go. So next we're going to move into opposition, where opposites attract opposite. So when we look at the interplay of yin and yang, we look at masculine, feminine. When we look at light and we look at dark, we can see that polarity is what allows the universe to really exist in its dynamic tension, where we have a spectrum of light One side is light, one side is dark. It's a continuum of time. It is interdependent of anything and is always working for the universe's highest good, of death to birth to light to dark, this continual process of polarity and paradox. So there is no up without a down. There is no inside without an outside. And so it is really the contrast between the polarities that give us one of the most distinct qualities as a human. And the important aspect here is that you actually see the varying degrees from the essence of polarity, from the hot and cold, from the intensities of the hot and cold, where you can experience them and love them both for what they are. You can love both the emotional energy and not judge it for what it is and come back into balance. So, this is where the intellectual magic comes in. By learning to work with our consciousness consciously, we start to vibrate a different state just by becoming aware. And we can then turn our wounds into wisdom. And the invitation then is to embrace the polarity and to always come back to our center. It's what I do in the Akashic field. We're really entering and finding the center in the field where you enter the dynamic energy, where you have the full spectrum of everything available to you and the capacity to be in a container that holds all the wisdom of time. Now, the law of cause and effect states that every action that you do has a reaction. So as we move forward, and we look at the principality of moving out of the rhythm, we move out of paradox, and then we're looking at cause and effect. Every cause and every cause has that effect, happens not by chance, but through universal law and choice. But what I want to bring to this is that it's often unconscious that we are playing with cause and effect. And this is why consciousness is so important. That our thoughts and our beliefs and our words and all of this is a cause to set into emotion, and into motion the correspondence of what is reflected back in your light. So if we plant seeds of love, we're going to reap and harvest the same. And if we plant frustration, victim, other shadow archetypes, that's going to be what you are going to experience. And so it's really important to understand that sometimes there's a time delay between the cause and effect, but that also gives you the fortitude to understand the importance of planting positive seeds, and then to come into your heart space and find your own power to trust the timing. The universe is going to work with the timing through love and through honoring the moment to moment versus trying to control all of these different aspects of light, love, and law. So another whole creative way that you can create with the experience of the universe is to awaken to the law of cause and effect and begin to take like this greater responsibility of how we affect the entire fucking butterfly effect of the entire world, literally. And so every choice, every thought, every ripple effect, when you die and you have that little meeting with your fun guides and you're like, well, that didn't go so well. Well, I wish I wouldn't have done that, right? When you reminded of that, I remind myself of that all the time. Like, I'm going to have a full life review here. Is this a good choice right now, right? So something to think about, my friends. So when we look at some of these last laws here, law of generation, manifestation, what you manifest, what is basically starting in the invisible that then becomes visible. So everything in existence is already exists. It's generating it with the energy and the force of energy that's going to bring it into force. So spiritual conditions of this process is symbolized by divine masculine and feminine in sacred union. And so the masculine is going to represent seed of potential. It's the spark of inspiration that puts you into motion, where that feminine is the nurturing space. It's the seed of thinking about it. It's manifesting it. It's the love that you bring into the birth of this new creation into form. So the principle of masculine and feminine is really about this process of, again, going back to the light and dark that's being sprouted into the world through this embryo that is in equal balance, that is coming through the womb, that is both honored by the yin and the yang and the feminine and the masculine. And so when we really look at, like, let's say the Big Bang Theory, it reflects this archetypal process of nothing to birthing out of something that's formless. But in our lives, we are constantly generating our own reality through our thoughts, beliefs, and our actions. Again, feminine and masculine. Feminine is going to allow, it's going to allow the flow. Masculine is going to put us into action. Masculine can also set you on a path of just behaviors and patterns and belief systems that don't serve you, where the feminine can come in and be of service to your highest good. Actually, Sophia is the feminine that was taken out of the church because they didn't want the feminine aspect to be in the Godhead. So there's a little bit of science for you, actually spirituality, actually consciousness that was taken out of our history. Anyways, coming into different dips of meditation and really understanding the power of both having the clarity and the vision, but also having unwavering faith in the feminine aspects, but also responding that when you know and you feel led to take action, that is the balance of the law of generation, where we are not separate from our creative power. We are not separated from the universe. We are not separated from taking divine action. We are the macro and the microcosm of this holographic universe, and it is beautiful. So those are the Hermetic laws. Now, I'm going to be going through a series with a mentor and a community around the Akashic field. And what is the Akashic field's reference to conscious creation through the law of Hermetics? And I'll leave you with this, is that the laws are impersonal. And when we become the generators, we midwife our birth of heaven and earth within our own heart space. You can understand that the light, love, and law is impersonal, and every experience that we create here is an intimate experience through sovereign choice of making it personal. I'm not a literal mother in this lifetime, even though I desired to be one. But when I tap into my higher divine will, my divine will knows that in this lifetime, it would have been a sidetrack that would take me off course to what I'm here to do. But even though I had the mother archetype, I have a spa, I have a salon, I have a spiritual business, I do psychic work, I do all these different things to mother humankind. So that's part of my archetype. It's an archetype that I hold, even though I haven't manifested the very personal experience of being a literal mother in this lifetime. I still hold that energy. So think about the energies that you hold. Think about the archetypes. And then understand that light, love, and law is always in effect, and you can't escape it. So the decision is yours. What do you want to awaken to? What do you want to harvest more of? What do you want to plant? And what do you want to pay attention to? So all my love, all my light, and we'll be in touch. Now keep in mind, one of the universal laws is one of the core pieces in my oracle deck that is going to help you align with all the different principles around the universal laws and Hermetics. And Hermetics is always shifting and changing. The mystical, the mystic, the galactic age that we're in, we are always in effect with the mystical laws of Hermetic principles. So if you have any questions, reach out. I hope you enjoyed this. I sure did. All my love, all my light.